Whether or not you have a self-cleaning oven, you get to that point where there are things that the self-cleaning won't do, like it won't clean the glass. So there's still times when you need to go in there and just get some of the junk out. This is self-cleaning. The glass is dirty. I also just want to do a light cleaning of it. You can't use any like the easy off type products, anything that's harsh or abrasive. What you can use is either mild soap and water or vinegar and water and just wipe everything down. And then in my case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply the self-cleaning after I just get everything nice and gunked out, so that the self-cleaning has a much easier job to do and there's less debris. So one of the challenges we face is, how do we remove this door? Because it does get in the way if you're trying to reach into the inside of the oven, and most of these doors will come off. So if we look down here, where the hinge goes into the oven, there's a little latch. And if you pull that up and out of the way and do the same thing to the one on the other side, then all you have to do is raise the door to the nearly closed position and then grab the sides of the door and lift up. And now you're able to clean this all by itself, or the inside, and have full access to the oven. Of course, before putting our hands inside the oven, we make sure that the control panel, which is touch sensitive, is locked out. That prevents us from leaning over and accidentally touching the panel and triggering something on that we didn't want to occur. I remove the grate. Of course, I'm wearing some gloves just so I don't get gunked up. And I've added warm water to a pail and poured in a little bit of vinegar. We're not trying to get this spotless with the water and vinegar. All we're doing is just trying to get some of the big heavy stuff out of here. So I'm going to start with the back of the unit and work the sides and floor and out. And there are heating elements up above. I don't touch those because as they heat up, they burn off any residue that's on them. And as you can see, we're starting to get some residue on our vinegar water solution. And so I'll just go through this process. Again, we're not scrubbing, we're not using any harsh chemicals. The nice thing about the vinegar is it's acidic, so it helps to soften up and get everything loose. And it will take some things out, some of the gunk, break down some of the oil and grease. Then because this is a self-cleaning oven, if you decide to go with the harsh chemicals like an easy off, you could damage that coating and defeat the self-cleaning properties of the material that's in here. And if your stove was anything like mine, it was very expensive, so you probably don't want to do that. Don't forget to wipe down the inside door, glass, frame. Be careful with the gasket. This tends to be kind of fragile, so I wouldn't apply any liquid to it. Just do the metal, glass. You can do this. Once we're done with our vinegar solution, we put in fresh warm water and we just wipe everything down to make sure that there is no residue left behind, because if we run self-cleaning, that will get cooked and we don't want anything to bake on or release odors. So it's best if you just get all that residue off. There'll be plenty of smoke and smells from the grease and grime that's there when you do the self-cleaning anyway, so why add to it? With this GE oven, it's safe to put the racks back into it. confusing thing is that which way do they get orientated? So you'll notice that there are crossbars on this. Obviously, you don't want those on the top because things won't work well with that. If you turn them over, that's what you want. Now, with the GE, there's a dipple towards the front, and there's a little rise on the back. And if you look inside the oven, you'll see that there are these little dimples, and that's what catches the rack so that it doesn't come all the way out and fall and cause a mess. So let me illustrate. To put it in, we just go in, and the dipple at the front stops it from going all the way to the back wall and scratching that finish. But when you pull it out, it stops. I can't pull this any further out, so whatever is on here, if it didn't have that feature, it would drop and you'd have a big mess. So just make sure that if you have a GE, it probably has a little dipple towards the front and then a slope towards the back. And you just slide it into the groove and all the way in, and now we're ready to attach our door. Grabbing the door by the sides, you see that the hinge is protruding. So all we're gonna do is bring it down, line it up, push it in, close the door, then bring it down. We now move the latch to the forward position so this door does not come off. Make sure you do the same thing to the other side, and then we can proceed to close our door. At this point, you can unlock the control panel. You can put the oven in a self-cleaning mode or decide not to. I'm going to select one. There is steam cleaning where you actually put a puddle of water on the bottom and just let it run. And that's good for just light cleaning. I'm going to go with the 3 hours of self-cleaning because we've done a pretty good job of cleaning this machine out. And then we're going to press start. The oven door will lock. It starts a countdown. After it has finished doing its cleaning cycle, the door will remain locked until the unit has cooled off sufficiently so that it doesn't pose a danger. If you're lucky enough to have a vent hood, then you probably want to switch that on, because as the grease and oils and stuff burn off, they'll exhaust out of the range and they need a place to go to, unless you want them all inside your house. For those of you concerned about the exterior glass, any window cleaner will do. Mild dishwashing lotion and warm water will also clean this up nicely. If there's stuff in between the glass, there are fasteners on this. I personally wouldn't do it, because if I crack or damage it, and then I have to deal with the wrath of the wife, and I don't want to do that. But if you're brave enough, there are fasteners that takes it off. I don't know if that gives you access to the inside of the glass where stuff may have dripped into, because this has 2 layers, but you've been warned. So I get it clean on the outside so it looks good, not so worried about the inside. During self-cleaning, the range outputs a lot of heat. You'll hear the fans come on and they'll be in the high mode, so it's expelling a lot of heat. So there's some talk on the internet that self-cleaning damages the electronics that are underneath this glass. And what you have to know is that there is insulation and there is a cooling apparatus that does jump into action when you're in the self-cleaning mode. But do be aware not to leave anything on the stovetop, as the temperature on the cooktop can exceed 100 degrees. Temperatures approach 146 degrees at the exhaust, and at the front door exhaust, we're looking at temperatures in excess of 250 degrees. Once self-cleaning is done and the oven has cooled off, go in there with a damp cloth and wipe down the interior to remove any ash that's left over. Unfortunately, due to some technical issues, we weren't able to show you the inside of the oven after it finished cleaning. So what you're looking at is the oven after Thanksgiving. So there was a bird in here, but it's dramatically a lot cleaner than it was. You may recall that back by the fan, there were lots of just splotches of grease and stuff, and all those are gone. You do see a little bit on the upper left-hand side, but that's from Thanksgiving. And the inside of the glass looks really clean. After the self-cleaning, all we had to do was just wipe off the ash, and the glass was pretty clear. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, join our subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.